Hello, say.
Yes, Sirize,
How are you? And right now, my name is Murise.
Gribo, sorry, question mark.
Ah,
Basi kyangengeke
softwares.
saka ndanji plana kuti
Ngai,
alright ngati ndanji plana kuti
sorry.
ndikadaida kuti tiite two lectures today not today
Yeah,
tikaita two lectures now then manheru paunenge wasvika ku
yeah.
kana zvichiita timbva taita futi the other two
Okay.
ehe
It's fine.
andowakati kumba unosvika zvekuma 8.
Yeah, so my eight.
I think it's fine. We can still do. Kana wangu wakumba unongondiudza kuti ndaredi. Then we can do the other.
Okay.
So because ndiri kuema kuti
Ah,
titange Excel but ndada kuti tingoita rep up zvatiri kuita izvi tomba takwanisa kutanga Excel.
that's fine.
Right.
That's
So
music to my ears.
let me not take much of your time. Saka, we want to start by looking at bin locations. Why we are looking at bin locations? Because just like your warehouses, bin locations are important, especially in a setup like let's take a supermarket, for example. Those who are into grocery, you'd find bin locations, even those who are into hardware, you'd find your bin locations becomes important in like further breaking down the locations of a stock item. So basically in this lecture, what we are looking at is to demonstrate how bin locations are used and implemented in search evolution. And we're saying by the end of the lecture, you should just understand what a bin location is, what it is, why is it important, how to set them up, and how to use them practically in search evolution. Right. So as I said, in an inventory, especially those who are into heavy inventory businesses, just knowing your stock is not enough. You must also know the exact position. If you are running a big warehouse, a big supermarket, you need to know the exact position of each stock item linked to the system, so that if you are controlling your stock, you can just stand up from your system and go straight to where a particular item is stored. So your locations or bin locations becomes important. You must also know the exact, that is the exact position where your stock is stored. And we're going to be focusing on that in this lecture. So a bin location, basically, we're saying it's a specific physical place, a specific physical location where a stock item, it is in the warehouse and it has an inventory items. So your examples could be a rack A, shelf 1, warehouse 2, pallet zone A, code room section B, aisle 3, level 2. I'll give you an example of OK Zimbabwe. You've got all those shelves, right? So either your bins can be those shelves. Those shelves have got levels, and you could name it level 1, level 2, level 3. Each shelf has got levels. So basically, in essence, that could be like your bin locations. So if you've got a stock item, you can trace it from the system right to the physical place. Then one may ask, why use bin locations? Bin locations, especially if you are dealing in many stock items, they become handy because they help you track stock per physical location, improve picking and packing, strengthen inventory control, support efficient and warehouse operations. Also, it helps in accurate stock tracking. With bin locations, like search information records what item you have, how much stock exists per bin location, the exact bin where the stock is stored. And this greatly reduces discrepancies. And in picking, if you are in a business where you pick the items, like in hardwares, you'd find in hardwares you buy, the customer buys, then you've got pickers, people who actually pick the order for the customer. With bin locations now, it gives you fast picking and packaging. So during source order processing, users can identify the correct bin location. This speeds up order fulfillment and reduces errors. So it helps in that. Then obviously it helps you in improved inventory control. So evolution allows you to control which bins to allow sales transaction, which bins to allow purchase transaction, and this ensures stock moves only through the authorized bins. So we are now going to, of course, it also helps you in better warehouse organization. Bin locations allow stock to be organized logically. Fast moving items is to access bins, slow moving items in secondary bins, damaged or quarantine stock in seated bins. That is if you want to use that approach. So we now want to go to Sage Evolution and see how to set up these bins, link up the bins with warehouses, configure the transactions, and actually do inventory transactions using these bins. So, right. So the first port of call when we come to evolution is maintenance. So it's maintenance. Before you do anything, you have to, if you are setting up bin locations, you have to go to maintenance first, then you go to inventory, then you go to warehouse defaults, right? Right. Now, when you come to warehouse defaults, there are a number of things, but they are concerned with bin location. So you just click there. Then you have to tick here. And by ticking here, you are activating use multiple bin locations. Let me just check if I'm recording. Okay, I'm sure I should be recording because all right, yeah, I'm recording. That's excellent. All right. So you tick there, use multiple bin locations. You can also tick on use bin location levels. So as I said, your bin, like in a supermarket, your bin could be the shelf, right? The whole shelf, that becomes your bin. Then the levels becomes like your shelf levels. Right? We're not going to activate levels. We just want to show you how bins work. So by ticking there, you'd find it will activate also bin transfers. We are going to see these bin transfers when we do the transactions. So here, what we are only shown is the numbering. So by default, we allow it to automatically number the bin transfers, also to automatically like number the references. Then the transaction code used in those bin transfers will be adjustment. If we were using project tracking and we wanted to force projects, we could just have to tick there. But what brought us here is for us to put a tick there. That's what brought us here. So once we've done that, we just click on OK. Then we can now go back to maintenance. So the first thing is we are setting up, before we do any transactions, we are setting up the bins so that we can use them later on. So we go back to maintenance and we now want to set our bins. So we can come here and say bin locations, but instead of doing that, let's go to warehouses. So we can come here and do it through creation of a warehouse. So we've got our master warehouse, but we can add a warehouse and demonstrate how bin locations work. So I'm just going to name this, this is my warehouse. I think you know how to create a warehouse. So I'm not going to say much here. So this is our warehouse, which is Harare Central. Okay. What is the most? So our warehouse there, and so I've put in the code. I want to put in the name. All right. Okay. Is it not responding? All right. So I also want so I'm just going to repeat, sorry. I'm just going to repeat the same name there. So we have Harare Central. Now, you'll find because we activated bin locations here, we now have allow multiple bin locations. So we could come here, and click on bin locations, or we could just try to save this warehouse. So when we try to save it, it's going to prompt us and say this warehouse allows multiple bin locations, but none has been selected. Please add bin location to this warehouse before saving. So we are going to do that. So we would say yes, okay. Then we click on create bin location. Then it will prompt us to save before we do that. So we will say yes, we want to save. Then it will also add all existing warehouse items to this warehouse at central, and we will say yes if we've got items. Then it's going now to open this window, and on this window we can now put our bin location. So I could just name this shelf 1. I mean, to make it just easy, just name it shelf 1 as a code, and again as a description there. So right. So it means in this case, I will have shelf 1, shelf 2, shelf 3. Then, as I said, on those shelves as the main bin locations, I will also have levels, right? I'm not going to do levels. So once I've put in the code, I then just have to come here and select my warehouse. In this case, I'm going to select Harare Central. Then once I've selected Harare Central, then I want to allow sales transactions. I want to allow purchase transactions because I want items to be bought into that warehouse. I want to allow even add new items and even add existing items. Then the bin has to be active. If I take off the tick there, it means the bin is no longer active. Then I click on OK. So this is basically how you set up the bins. This is just a setup. So what we have now is we have a main warehouse. Not a main warehouse. We have a warehouse. But within that warehouse, we have said, okay, let's also put bin locations. So it's a further breakdown of the warehouse to make a definitive identification of where a stock item is stored. So by so doing, we are ready to use bin locations in transaction, right? So I just want to quickly create some stock items. We already know how to use stock items. So I'm not going to be saying what I'm doing here, right? So I'm just adding a stock item. Let's say, all right, we'll just say bread. Okay, so once I add it, it also has to be a warehouse item. Then I'm not putting pricing and all that. We're supposed to put pricing there. Then it's supposed to be added to all warehouses. Just edit. Okay, that's fine. Then we say, okay, right. So once we have done that, we can now do transactions. There are a number of inventory transactions that we do. We receive stocks, we sell stocks, we transfer stocks. So if we were to probably do order entry and do a purchase order, all right, of this item, so basically we'll start by doing a purchase order. We did this previously. I'm sure you are aware. So we'll actually select, let me just create a supplier again, because the Kanban file I'm using doesn't have a supplier. So let me just quickly create a supplier there. Right. Okay. My internet, I think it's a bit slow. All right. Yes, yeah. I think it's just having some hiccups. So basically, I just want to, okay, sorry for that. Let me just create a supply quickly because I want to use a supplier here. Right. Suppliers. So this is just linking up with what we did previously on creation of suppliers. So I'm not going to be explaining what I'm doing. It's S01. So we're saying this is bread. So I'm just going to put a Kanban which does bread there. So I'm going to have proton bread, right? The rest of the things, we're just leaving them as they are. Then I say, okay. So I want to receive this bread. Let's say we bought bread. So we are going via order entry. I'm just focusing on how to use the bin locations. Then it's purchase order, right? Then when our purchase order loads up, I'll select, I think I already opened another one. Anyway, it's okay. Let's wait for it to open. So I will select our supply proton, then I'll come here and select the item. In this case, my item is bread. It will bring up that. Then I'll select the warehouse. In this case, I want to select Harare Central. Then I have to select the location. So it could have been rack 1, it could have been rack A, it could have been like shelf 1, like what I did there, right? And how many are we buying? So you see, this is happening for all the items that we are buying. Because we activated bin locations, it means we are now able to use the bin locations in our inventory transactions. There are many. This is just a purchasing transactions, transaction of inventory. Obviously, instead of going through the whole process of confirming, of placing order and so on, I could just go and confirm this, right? Then, all right, I just want to put price there. Let's say we got this at 90 cents. Then once we are done, we receive those stocks. So I'm saying once bin locations have been created, you are now able to use them in your inventory transactions. This is just one that I've shown you. I will show you even when you are selling. I'm going to do a sales order just after this one so that you see how it works, right? So basically this will actually, this will be our GRFE, right? So it will show the items that we bought. And now, because we have included the bin location, you find the bin location is now shown on the GRFE. If you remember from our previous lecture, there was no bin location being shown. So if we had captured lots of items here with different bin locations, they were going to be shown all on the GRFE. And one could actually, after receipt and stocks, you could go with this GRFE into the warehouse, go bin location by bin location, and just confirm if these items exist as has been shown that they've been received on the system, right? So, right, this is just a purchasing transaction. We could also see the bin locations when we are doing a sale, right? So this helps with pickers. You've done a sale, so I'm going just to pick the cash customer here, right? And pick my item. My item which I'm going to use is just bread, right? Then you'd find once I do that, I pick the warehouse, right? In this case, my warehouse would be Harare Central. Then automatically again, I will then pick my bin, right? So I can just pick that. Then I put in the quantity of what has been bought, right? Then I can also confirm that so that then now we are selling this at $1 and I just continue. So I could just process, instead of placing order or quoting, I just want to process this so that we just do the invoice. So just click on process. We have done this before. We have done this before. So, I mean, you should be aware of how to do these transactions. So we could, if we wanted, we could print a sales order picking slip. As I said, in businesses that like your hardware stores, where you have got pickers, they would actually want this. So you find this is a picking slip. So what item is being sold or that needs to be picked, it's bread, what is the bin, shelf 1, and what are the required quantities. So your stores people or the pickers, they will just use this document, go right to bin 1, because these bins or these shelves will be well labeled such that anyone can identify. In a supermarket, instead of probably saying shelf 1, you could say, because you find in a supermarket they arrange products by type, like laundry, like your detergents, they could be on one shelf. Your cordials could be on one shelf. Your cereals, you see. So you could actually use those as bin locations. So your bin locations, the naming of it is purely up to you, depending with the type of products that you do. So this will be a picking slip, and right, if you wanted, you could also print the order delivery, but I just want us to view the sales invoice, right? So for the pickers, you could just print that picking slip, then your invoice. Let's view your invoice. Right. So your invoice won't necessarily show, because this invoice goes to the customer. The bin locations, they help us internally in terms of knowing where our stock items are, and also in terms of picking. But for the customer doesn't require the bin location per se. So this is how you use in the purchasing and selling of items. Now, you can also move items from one bin to the other. Right. So in that case, I would have to create another bin. Let me just do that quickly. Okay, let me just do that quickly. Wow, it's just showing this violation. Do I have another window open which is not supposed to be open? Let me close that. All right, and see where that error is coming from. So, okay, I want to create another bin so that I just demonstrate the creation or the transfer of items between bins. It's not complicated, simple and straightforward. Right, so let me just come to warehouses again. I will come to warehouses. So I've got my master warehouse. Then, right, under this, I want to add a bin location. So I'm just going to create a location there. Right, so I would just say shelf. Again, I'm just going to say shelf 2 for simplicity. Right, shelf 2 there. Then over select. In this case, I'm going to select that, and I'm just going to activate this and make sure that it's also active. Then okay. So now, if I am to do a transfer between bin locations, just come to transactions, then I come to inventory, then I do bin transfers. So when I do that, you find it's going to open this window. Then in doing the bin locations, you utilize batches. As I said, the batch processing is whereby you are capturing transactions into a window, then post those transactions later on. So we are just creating a new window into which you are going to run the transfer between the bins. Then after that, you post, right? So it will give a reference, the batch number, which will be that. You do not input that. You are given by the system, but you can have a batch description. So it will be bin transfer batch. You can give it whatever name you want. Transaction code by default is an adjustment, because it's more like you're adjusting stocks from shelf A to shelf 2, or from shelf 1 to shelf 2, or from shelf 2 to shelf 1. Then created is the administrator. I'm logged in as the administrator. That's why it has that name there. Then I always say clear badge, so that you don't have confusion later on. You don't want to capture a badge, post it, then you leave it without clearing it. Why? Because when you go for a month or two, you may forget that you posted this badge, and you may repost it. And that will actually result in it. So just clear badge after post. Then we just click on OK. So once we do that, it just opens a window. So it's a small window, simple, right? Then we are selecting items that we are transferring from one bin location to another. So in this case, my warehouse will be Harare Central. Then I've got those quantities. Then I'm pushing this from shelf 1 to bin location shelf 2. Then how many quantities? Let me just say 100. Then I could put a reference there, but somebody should have initiated that. So it could be request, right, 001, right? Then we just have to put a description, right? So the description has to be meaningful. If we are using projects, then we put projects. If we are using serial numbers, or a lot tracking, then we put that. In this case, we are not putting that. So once you have done that, you can run a validation first before posting. If everything is in order, it will show here, batch successfully validated, no errors found. Then you just post the batch, just like that. So it will prompt you. Then if you want to print, just say yes, so that you can print. You can either email, print, or just preview. Like in our case, we're just going to preview. So this transfer, you want to file it either, you can file it electronic, or you can do you can print a hard copy and file it. So this is how you deal with bin locations. They are coming in an environment where you are managing big warehouses. You can take, for example, you can take like your warehouse, like your Vola hardware or your hostels. If you visit them, they've got like these big warehouses, and obviously they use bin locations to manage and locate items in those warehouses. So that's that on bin locations. So just post that, then our bin location, our transfer is successfully posted. So that's that on bin locations. What is important? The transactions are straightforward, because once you set up, then everything is fine. Challenges may be on setup. That's probably where the challenge may be on. This company is just giving me some errors there. So what you just basically need to do is to make sure that you configure the bin locations properly. Once they are configured well, we are good to go. I didn't look at the levels. You could set up levels if you want, still okay. But at times it complicates the whole process. You could just use bin locations as a way of controlling your stocks. I think I'm done on that one. So I think I should cut. I don't want this video to be long. Let me just stop this and restart, so that the video is shorter for you when you watch it. Right.